third topic, which we will rifle through in the interests of time. Xi Jinping purges top general, causing turmoil in the PLA. Over to you, Glenn, and let's rifle through this.
Pardon me. Well, so the top general has been removed, or Xi Jinping removed the top general. And this is quite surprising because of the six top generals.
Tell us about him a little bit.
Well, of the six top, I'll get to him in just a moment. Of the six top generals or military commanders in the Chinese military establishment, Xi has removed five of the six. Zhang Youxia, whom he just removed, is surprising because he is a hero, highly respected in the Chinese military and power structure. He is the son of a long march companion of Mao. He's one of the princelings of the new royalty in the communist China. And he was a lifelong close friend of Xi Jinping. So Xi Jinping is not a discovery for any of us that he is ruthless when necessary. But all of these
you said he was a hero, so I just want to tell our viewers he's one of the few people in the Chinese military with combat experience. He fought in distinction in 1979 against Vietnam. So he's one of the few who actually had fought, because the Chinese military has no memory of battle and war right now.
Right. When China invaded Vietnam, I was going to say North Vietnam, but at the time it was still, I guess it had already become Vietnam. It was shortly after the fall of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. China invaded Vietnam to, quote, teach Vietnam a lesson, unquote. And in fact, they had their hats handed to them. The Vietnamese were one of the finest, if the finest, armies in the world. The Chinese hadn't had any combat experience, and after suffering substantial losses and finding all sorts of logistical operational problems in the Chinese military's performance, they then withdrew after having taught their lesson. But apparently, Zhang Youxia performed creditably at that time. So he's removed. Why? Well, there are few rivals of any stature in positions of authority in the Chinese power structure, Communist Party and government, who remain. Now, you can look at this and say, well, Xi is not just ascendant, but there's nobody else, so he has secured his power even more. One might, however, interpret this, and I'm inclined to do the following, as a sign of the brittleness and apprehensions, nervousness of Xi Jinping himself. There are reports from a number of different venues of expressions of real dissatisfaction, anger, frustration, concern, disagreement in the Chinese power structure with Xi Jinping's ever-increasing domination of all levers of power and influence, that even devoted members of the party find this too much. And the rumblings about Xi perennializing his power in 2027 may be, and I think probably are, the reason for the removal of Zhang Youxia. Now, immediately people have thought, oh, well, this will disrupt the Chinese military. And I don't think that is the case at all. It's professional. It's huge. Its materiel is world-class and growing. Its training has dramatically improved over the past 15 years. One man does not an entire military capability make. It's disruptive, but I don't think it structurally affects the combat readiness or lack thereof of the Chinese military. But a sign of dissatisfaction of the regime, I think so, within the regime rather, and apprehension by Xi and his ruthlessness.
Very quickly, Glenn, importantly, Xi has hollowed out the entire military leadership, not just our dear friend Zhang, who was 75, another general who was member of the Chinese Central Military Commission, Liu Zhenli. He's also gone under investigation for suspected serious discipline and law violations. And this is a purge unmatched since the death of Mao Zedong in 1976. Many are comparing it to the purge by Joseph Stalin of all his top generals. Now, yes, the Red Army still won against the Nazis, but it was hugely disruptive. And it does throw into confusion command and control. The roughly 2 million strong People's Liberation Army just has two. The 2 million strong People's Liberation Army, the PLA, is run by the CMC, the Central Military Commission, and it has just two active members. One of them is Xi Jinping himself, and the other is the PLA's disciplinary chief, General Zhang Youxia, whom many people are likening to Beria, Laurentius Beria, the secret police chief, the secret service chief of Stalin. And so there are massive problems. Now, some people are saying he did it because he wanted the PLA, Xi Jinping purged the generals because he wanted the PLA to be a fully modern fighting force, and they haven't met expectations, and he wants to act against Taiwan. A new wave of purges started around 2023. They began with the rocket force, which handles nuclear arsenal, which is very modern, which has developed tremendously, and which has all the rockets that make American aircraft carriers not approach Chinese coasts. Many say it is corruption and structural reforms. All of that, those are reasons. But at the end of the day, it certainly seems to be the case that, one, there is paranoia on the part of Xi Jinping. He has been in power much too long. There is discontent. And his friend, a 75-year-old general who was staying on well beyond retirement age, somehow had become a little too powerful and got the emperor a little too nervous. So that's one factor. Number two, there is clearly in the military a lack of a process, a lack of a system. The US military has been very professional. So have been militaries such as the British and the French, who have very clear processes for people to move up. And yes, they are imperfect, but you don't get this turmoil. But clearly, the Chinese military is far from a truly modern force. Yes, can it fight? Yes, it can fight. And yes, it has material. But Glenn, I'll differ a little from you and say that I would not bank on, say, the Chinese Navy taking on the Japanese Navy and performing well on the high seas with such lack of certainty and such lack of consistency and such lack of just institutional stability. I very much think that would percolate down and would affect morale. So I take the view that the Chinese military is facing greater turmoil than we realize and recognize. After all, it's an opaque society. The officers have no experience of battle. Yes, if they go to battle, they may improve, as the Soviets did in World War II. But also remember who replaces these chaps who've been fired. All the chaps below them worked for the chaps who have been fired. So they are tainted by association. So we are living in this extraordinary era of paranoia. And this is in some ways very good news for Taiwan and Japan. Not such good news if you are a PLA officer.
Well, I think Xi is an astute, brilliant wielder of power, certainly in a ruthless system, is taking a lesson from Iran, from Russia, from Stalin's Soviet Union, and from all other dictatorships, really, which is that if there's no credible rival and you control the tools of force, of coercion, the military and the guns, then whatever the dissatisfactions may be institutionally and in the public, a revolution and putsch and so on is highly unlikely to succeed.
He has taken Mao's maxim to heart: power flows through the barrel of a gun. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending our first episode of 2026. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you send us questions. And make sure you share this video with your friends. From Glenn and me, it's from Glenn and me, it's bye for now.
Bye.
Join the conversation at Fair Observer and subscribe to our YouTube channel.